Alright, TLDR, this is a new compact sub by IK Multimedia. It has built-in room correction that passes down to your main monitors. It's $600 and honestly, it's really good. Links are down below if that's all you need. For everyone else still watching, here's why I think this is worth your time. Like many of you, I work out of a semi-treated room in my house. Not a perfect studio, not an untreated bedroom, somewhere in the middle, and this thing has genuinely improved my mixes. Not only by allowing me to hear more of my low end, but also correcting the entire frequency response in this room. If you make music in a bedroom or a project studio, I think that's actually the conversation worth having. Quick thing before we get into it, this product demo is sponsored by IK Multimedia, but they have zero say in what I say, and they don't get to see this before it goes live. Okay, so to make this easy to follow, I'll be breaking this into 3 parts. What this actually is, who it's for, and then my own personal experience using it in my own setup. Timestamps are down below if you want to jump around, but let's get into it. I'm sure this is obvious by now, but this is a subwoofer. Typically, in a studio setup, we usually start with 2 monitors for a left and right stereo image, and that's how I ran my studio for a really long time. So then why would you need a sub? Well, subs get introduced whenever you want to hear more of your low end. Most studio monitors only go down to about 40 to 35 hertz, but sub-based frequencies can go even lower than that. 808s in particular are a good example. The low-end energy that makes them actually feel right in the mix can sit below what most monitors can even reproduce. A sub extends that floor so you can actually hear what's down there and mix those frequencies properly. The issue though, and the main reason why I never pulled the trigger on a sub, aside from the fact that I've worked out of apartments most of my life, is that adding a subwoofer to an untreated or uncorrected room is not automatically a fix and can actually make things worse. As I'm sure you know, sound travels in waves, and low frequency waves are actually really long. In a typical bedroom, those waves don't just disappear. Unless your room is treated, they bounce off the walls, they pile up in corners, and often they collide with themselves. When 2 waves collide, you will either get a boost or they will cancel each other out, making it really hard to trust what you're hearing. This is why sometimes your bass and 808s can sound great in your room, but fall apart the moment you take the mix somewhere else. So yeah, I've always known that I could benefit from a sub, but I didn't want to introduce one until I could properly treat my room. Well, this is where the iLoud sub comes in, because not only does it give you more low-end information, but it also comes included with IK Multimedia's ARC-X room correction mic and software. This combo will help you analyze your room by having you place the mic in different locations while it sends out test tones, making the proper corrections, storing that configuration on the sub itself, and then passing it down to your main monitors so your entire monitoring chain stays in check. The end result is more low end you can actually hear with a frequency response that is tailored specifically to your room. Something important to note is that while ARC-X handles all of that automatically, including setting the crossover point, you're not locked in. You can always go back and manually adjust it afterwards if you want more control over how the sub and your monitors are blending. Oh, and one more thing worth mentioning, most subs are actually quite large and they take up some serious real estate. If you're in a bedroom or project studio, that matters. The iLoud sub is compact enough to actually fit in most small setups, which for me was part of the appeal. It also uses 2 passive radiators instead of traditional ports, which personally I prefer because in my opinion, they tend to produce tighter, more controlled bass rather than ports. Okay, so who's this for? I've already alluded to this, but I think the people that will really benefit from this are producers and engineers working out of rooms that are not properly treated. That includes bedrooms you repurpose into a studio like me, or even dedicated spaces where you just want some extra help getting your frequency response under control. With that said, if you're working in a larger room, this might be worth testing before you commit. It is a compact unit, and in a much bigger space, it may not have enough output to pressurize a room effectively. As far as price goes, it's $600. That's not nothing, but in the context of what you're getting, which is a sub and a room correction system in one unit, I actually think that's pretty reasonable for a bedroom or project studio. Buying a decent sub and a separate room correction solution individually would likely run you more, so all things considered, I think this price makes sense. Okay, so finally let's talk about my experience and how I'm using it. IK Multimedia reached out for me to try this last November, and I would have made this video sooner, but I actually had some issues. The sub I have now is actually a second unit because the first actually produced this really annoying high frequency ringing that I could not get rid of. I tried everything from updating the software, changing the cables, adding a ground isolator, but nothing. After talking to IK, we concluded it might have been a faulty early unit, and so they sent me a new one, and things have been great ever since. As far as my setup goes, I actually just also upgraded my main monitor, so currently my main monitoring chain is my UAD Apollo X8 into the iLoud sub, into my new Focal Shape 65s. I also have another pair of monitors, which are the IK Multimedia iLoud MTMs, which I use as a secondary pair for reference. The only issue here is that the MTMs are not connected to the sub, so they don't benefit from the correction. The solution here will be to either get the Arc Studio, which is a standalone correction box, or get the Gen 2s, which come with Arc X built in as well. Now, as for the actual correction, it has literally been night and day. I've been working out of this room for about 6 years or so, and so I've gotten really used to it to the point where I know how it sounds and what I need to do to make things translate better outside. But I was not prepared for how much of a difference the correction would make. Here's a screenshot of what the software did. What you're looking at is my room's frequency response, basically a map of how my room was coloring the sound before it reached my ears. And mine was not pretty. The blue line is my room before the correction, and the orange is after. As you can see, there was a big dip around 40 to 50 hertz, which means I was barely hearing that range at all, and a pretty significant boost around 100 to 200 hertz, which means that that area was exaggerated. So I was hearing too much of some things and not enough of others without even knowing it. After the correction, that curve flattens out significantly, and the difference in practice was immediately noticeable, more present and controlled low end that I could actually hear and make better decisions with. 6 years of compensating for a room that I didn't fully understand or hear, and this thing sorted it out in about 30 minutes. So yeah, that's been my experience with the iLoud sub. So far, it's been a great addition to my setup, but now I want to hear from you. What do you think of this unit? Are you working out of a bedroom or a project studio with less than ideal acoustics? Do you think something like this could actually make a difference? Let me know down below. And if after watching you are interested in checking it out, there will be an affiliate link in the description. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but it does help support the channel, so I appreciate that. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.